As a die-hard metalhead and action gamer, I just had to give Doom the Dark Ages a try as soon as it dropped. But how does it compare to other games like Doom Eternal, and is it worth it for someone who's new to the series? How's it going, guys? Mike here, and I want to talk about my review and experience after playing Doom the Dark Ages, and this is coming from a guy who's never played a Doom game before this. But before we get into that, if you're new to my channel, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and tap the bell icon so you never miss a video. Now, as I said before, I've never played a Doom game before this. I mean, I've seen the walkthroughs on YouTube and Twitch, and I was actually planning on playing the 2016 reboot before Dark Ages got announced. But then I decided, you know what? Let me wait and play the prequel so I could play everything in chronological order, and boy am I glad I did. From start to finish, Dark Ages is absolutely incredible. It has an amazing story, some super fast-paced action sequences, and a killer soundtrack. First, let's talk about the gameplay. For all you Doom newbies out there, this game is not your average FPS. I mean, you're literally running around all these maps, sprinting around, killing demons, cracking skulls, and doing it all in extremely gory and brutal fashion. As a matter of fact, I fully support it because, as Preben says from Preben Beyond Journey's End, you can't trust demons. And for those of you new to the franchise, Dark Ages is an excellent start because even though it's very fast-paced, the normal difficulty is surprisingly balanced. One of my favorite things about the combat as an action gamer is actually the shield and parrying gameplay. I mean, you got this really cool shield saw that you get to use not only as a projectile, but as a way to parry certain attacks. And I like how balanced it is compared to games like Lies of P and First Berserker Kazan. It's very accessible for people that aren't normally used to playing these kinds of games, and it's an extremely essential tool that you need to take down certain enemies. Also, the weapons are so cool. I mean, I enjoyed every single weapon, but I've got to give props to two of my favorites, which are the Skull Crusher and the Accelerator. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, the Skull Crusher is basically a weapon that shoots broken skull fragments as ammo, and how can you not say that this is metal? I mean, this is one of the coolest weapons. I've literally seen videos of people doing PC builds shaped like the Skull Crusher, and it's surprisingly similar to the Unmaker from Doom's 2016 reboot. It's also a great weapon for hitting larger groups of enemies, and once it's upgraded to the Pulverizer, it deals even more damage and even charges up attacks and increases its fire rate. But the Accelerator is equally as awesome. I mean, not only does it fire at an insane rate, but it's also a plasma rifle that breaks through shields. This is a great weapon for later in the game when you're trying to deal with much more powerful enemies and enemies with energy shields, and believe me, there are a lot of them. Also, let's talk about this epic soundtrack. It may not be Mick Gordon, but it still goes equally as hard, and it actually gives me some serious Disturbed vibes. And unlike the Eternal soundtrack, it actually came out on Spotify, Apple Music, and wherever music platforms stream. I think one of my favorite tracks from this is Unchained Predator, which you hear at the beginning of the game and was actually played during the initial reveal trailer at last year's Xbox Summer Games Showcase. And for those of you wondering who composed this, it was made by Finishing Move, which is known for a variety of different game soundtracks like Halo Wars 2, the Master Chief Collection, Crackdown 3, Borderlands 3, and Microsoft Flight Simulator, among others. So before Dark Ages, they had quite the resume. And while they aren't Mick Gordon, and while this is a big change of pace for Bethesda, I will say that the soundtrack was probably one of the biggest highlights for me while I was playing this. Also, let's talk about the game's performance. Now, I played it on PS5, and I had 0 frame rate stutters or lag, and I also tried it on PC with a 60Hz connection, and it honestly ran extremely well. I think people who have at least an RTX 3060 at minimum shouldn't have any issues running it. And for those of you Game Pass users, I would honestly recommend trying this on both PC and an Xbox Series S or Series S if you have it. I think, in my opinion, that it runs pretty well all around. I didn't experience any glitches or anything, so my hat goes off to to Bethesda for polishing this extremely well. I also like how the game tackles Doom's lore, especially with the 2016 reboot and Eternal. Now, like I said, I have not played Eternal yet, but I have seen the walkthroughs on YouTube and Twitch, and when you play this game and you eventually get to Eternal, so many things will make sense. For example, the Agadon Hunters, who you fight later in the game. Now, some of you may recall the Cyber Demons, or as they're commonly called, the Doom Hunters in Doom Eternal, and you might remember a certain line that one of the Hell Priests drops, saying that they're basically based off of the Agadon Hunters from the Tellus realm. Dark Ages literally gives us a flesh and blood look of what these things actually look like, as well as how powerful they were. And I've got to say, these things were intimidating. Not only do they have shields, but they have a full stamina bar that makes them extremely hard to hit, and I can see why they were so formidable, as mentioned in Eternal. I also love this mech and dragon gameplay. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. For those of you who play games like Armored Core or even see movies like Pacific Rim, this is seriously worth trying out. I mean, with the giant mech, you're literally fighting giant Titan demons while also stuffing grenades in their mouths, pushing them off cliffs, and causing them to blow up in extremely cinematic fashion. And the dragon is equally as epic, because you're literally on its back shooting people with a gigantic twin-barrel gun, while at the same time trying to deal with ships, getting plasma buildups, and you even have the power to perfect dodge. I mean, it doesn't get more metal than this. The story is also interesting because you're dealing with this crazy demon prince called Azrak, who wants to ascend to more power in hell and is after something called the Heart of Argent that would basically make him a god. And this guy's crazy. I mean, even the makers are terrified of him, which really tells you something right there. But at the same time, once you finally get to fight him, it is all the more satisfying. Not going to spoil that part because it's pretty epic. I also want to preface that the Slayer is in some rather interesting circumstances in this game, because Doom Guy is literally mind controlled for parts of it by the Creed Maker, who is a key character in the game, and I won't go into that much detail, but he plays a big role later on in the story. But at the same time, Slayer is probably pretty pissed off that he's being mind controlled for the most part, especially because it's a bunch of guys who he doesn't even know that are basically forcing him to kill demons instead of him doing what he actually likes and killing them himself. And I'm pretty sure that if he has to fight the Creed Maker, he is going to let all that anger loose on him. Overall, if I were to score this game on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give it a solid 9.7 out of 10. Now you're probably thinking, why isn't he giving it a 9.5? Well, because I liked it even better than a 9.5. The game is extremely fast-paced, has great action sequences, and is an excellent introduction to the Doom franchise for anyone who's never played this series. And by the way, I know a lot of people who haven't. In fact, one of my bosses at work, I am seriously going to recommend this game to. Now, I do want to preface that the game isn't done yet with new content, as Bethesda's confirmed that a campaign DLC is in the works. It could be something similar to what we got with Doom Eternal's Ancient Gods expansion, which was basically 2 parts and was set after the main campaign and ultimately dealt with the showdown against the Dark Lord, who's basically the overarching villain in the series. I feel like this DLC could lead up into Doom's 2016 reboot and explain how the Slayer got to where he was at the beginning of the game in the first place. We could also get the introduction to a familiar character called the Seraphim, who plays a huge role in both Doom 2016 and especially in Doom Eternal. But we're going to have to wait and see how the DLC looks in order to actually see if that's true. But I want to hear your thoughts. Are you guys planning on playing Dark Ages, or have you already played it? What's been your favorite part of the game, and what do you hope to see in future updates? Let me know in the comment section below, and be sure to smash the like button, subscribe, and tap the bell icon so you're up to date with all the latest gaming news and reviews. But until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys when the campaign DLC finally drops. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Mic Check XP YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an upload, and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. And be sure to leave your thoughts and insights in the comments section and invite a friend to check out these videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you back here next week. Take care.